my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and for today's video, I am super excited to be talking about this subject matter because ever since I've started kind of doing that Ed and Lorraine Warren series, or the Truth Behind the Horror Film series, and we've talked so much about Ed and Lorraine Warren, I have received so many questions from you guys regarding whether or not I believe the authenticity of their accounts and whether or not I believe that they are frauds. If you're somebody who's new to my channel, I have dove into the entire Conjuring series. I've dove into Annabelle, I've dove into The Conjuring, I've dove into the Devil Made Me Do It case. I have really went head on into a lot of Ed and Lorraine Warren cases and told you guys the real life events that are said to have occurred. But with that being said, Ed and Lorraine Warren have received a ton of controversy and specifically found themselves in the center of a massive controversy as to whether or not they're fraudulent or they're real. So for today's video, I thought we would kind of sit down and discuss why people believe Ed and Lorraine Warren are frauds and my personal views on the subject matter. With that being said, if at any point throughout this video or even right now you have any of your own personal beliefs as far as Ed and Lorraine Warren go, make sure you go ahead and drop your comments down below. You can discuss it with one another and discuss it with me because I'm going to be reading through all of the comments. Please be kind to one another in doing so. We are all entitled to our own opinions, but we don't need to be nasty to anybody who shares their own opinion. And yeah, so I'm just really excited to talk about everything to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren and the overall controversy surrounding them. Before we get into Ed and Lorraine Warren though, I would very quickly like to let you guys know that I have released some new merch. Now it's limited, there aren't too many, but I released a friendly ghost hat. It is the cutest thing ever. It is so warm. It is perfect for the current season that we're in. And I really feel like you guys are gonna love it. I've already posted the hat on Instagram and Twitter, and so many of you guys have already went ahead and got your own. You've already received them and you love them just as much as I do. So if any of you guys wanna get your very own friendly ghost hat, the link will be down in the description and you can head on over and get your own because they are so warm and they are so cute and they are limited. There's only a certain amount left on the site. I don't know exactly how many as of right now, but once they're gone, that will be it for the Friendly Ghost hat. So make sure you get your own down in the description, and let's get right on into this Ed and Lorraine Warren case. So I'm very quickly going to brief as to who Ed and Lorraine Warren are. I'm sure you guys are well aware by now, especially if you've been on my channel for a bit, as to who they are, but for the sake of today's video, I'm gonna summarize what they were as a duo, as Ed is now passed, and why they found themselves in the center of all of these paranormal investigations. So Ed and Lorraine Warren were a married couple that were together all the way until Ed passed away in 2006. Now Lorraine Warren is still alive and she will be celebrating her 92nd birthday on the 31st of this month, which is one day after my birthday. So I was born on the 30th, she's born on the 31st. I thought that was interesting, and God willingly, she will be turning 92 at the end of this month. Now, Lorraine Warren is a clairvoyant / medium, and Ed Warren is a self-proclaimed demonologist. He's also a self-taught demonologist as well. Together, they would investigate what would become some of the most famous hauntings in America specifically, and the two of them would go on to become not only best-selling authors, two of them would inspire what many believe to be some of the greatest horror films of our generation, including but not limited to The Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, and Annabelle. Not to forget Amityville Horror, which is a video that I'm going to be diving into this coming week, so stay tuned for that. When Ed and Lorraine Warren gained more popularity, there was a large group of people who believed that all of their accounts were fabricated. And if not fabricated, they were dramatized at best, meaning that they took some sort of a haunting and twisted it into this Hollywood-like haunting to profit from it. So why do people believe that Ed and Lorraine Warren are fraudulent? Well, there's actually a ton of different evidence circulating throughout the internet. I'm not going to get into it all today, but I'm kind of going to summarize it into the most popular reasons that people believe them to be frauds. The very first of which being lack of evidence. Now, in the Annabelle case in particular, a lot of people recognized that the accounts of Annabelle, the story behind Annabelle and what occurred surrounding Annabelle prior to her being placed in her confinement in her safe box, was all told by the Warrens. They were the ones who told the story, they were the ones who shared the experiences, they were the ones that gave the entire backstory surrounding Annabelle. There was no real evidence as far as other witnesses coming forward or really anybody else sharing the story behind Annabelle other than Ed and Lorraine Warren. This kind of rubbed people the wrong way because people started to feel like they were either to believe Ed and Lorraine Warren or they were not to believe it at all. There was no supporting evidence as to whether or not the story behind Annabelle is even in fact true, or so they believe. It's really a he said, she said, and you either choose to believe it or you don't. Many people even argued that while Ed and Lorraine Warren claimed that Annabelle had actually injured people in the past, there was no proof of that either. Overall, it just really rubbed people the wrong way that in so many of these instances or cases, as far as these possessed items or these cases that they've investigated, it was really just Ed and Lorraine Warren's word and you were to take it, which led people to believe that they could have very easily fabricated the Annabelle case. They could have very easily fabricated other cases and just told a version of events that they wanted people to believe. Another one which raised extreme controversy, not only surrounding Ed and Lorraine Warren, but also surrounding the family and their version of events as well. A lot of people believe that the children faked the poltergeist activity entirely, and interestingly enough, the girls actually did go ahead and say that they had faked a small portion of the poltergeist activity, which rubbed people the wrong way entirely, and they felt as though how could Ed and Lorraine Warren not have recognized that these children were putting blinders over everybody and making it seem like it was something it wasn't. One of the most controversial pieces of evidence in this specific case is the picture of Janet levitating. Now, there's a lot of people that look at these images and believe that she's doing nothing more than jumping off of the bed, which I can actually see personally why people would think this and why they would believe that. And it really turned people off of Ed and Lorraine Warren that they would even try to push this image as a piece of evidence in claiming that Janet was in fact possessed, that there was in fact a poltergeist, and that she had in fact levitated. They felt like this picture was complete baloney, that it looked ridiculous, and that there was no way that it was levitation, but still Ed and Lorraine Warren pushed that image. Now, the most argued surrounding Ed and Lorraine Warren is that they do everything they do for financial gain, that they either work with the families in fabricating a story for financial gain, or they kind of work against the family in fabricating things and telling them fabricated information in order to make a profit. While it is said they never actually charge the families for their services, they do go ahead and write books and tell-alls and do TV interviews and all of the publicity that surrounds it after the fact, which does in fact bring financial gain. I will have all of my videos that I've done on these specific cases linked down below, but more recently I dove into the Devil Made Me Do It case, which was another Ed and Lorraine Warren case. After everything was all said and done, the Glatzel family went ahead and said that the entire possession story as far as David and Arnie went was an entire hoax, and it was made up by Ed and Lorraine Warren to exploit David's mental illness. Apparently, the Warrens claimed that making up a story to this magnitude to do with possession would make them millions, and therefore they'd be able to get Arnie out of prison for the crime he'd committed. Although, like I mentioned in that video, Arnie and Debbie Glatzel stand by the fact that both David and Arnie were completely possessed, and that the family was now turning on Ed and Lorraine Warren for their own financial gain. The Haunting in Connecticut case is another case that many believe was completely fabricated for financial gain. Many people on the outside took note that the Snedeker family could not keep their story in line whatsoever, and that it was all just a made-up scheme to get the Snedeker family out of debt and to make Ed and Lorraine Warren a ton of money. Another big argument that people have is that Ed and Lorraine Warren have all of these experiences, but yet all of the experiences tend to happen when the cameras are off or nobody's looking. Now, as somebody who does paranormal investigations myself and has grown up in a haunted house and has seen my fair share of ghosts and have my fair share of paranormal experiences, I can vouch for the fact that normally things don't happen when the camera's rolling. And I know that it sounds super cliche. I know that it sounds absolutely ridiculous. And it sounds like, oh, guess what, guys? The camera wasn't rolling, but I saw a ghost. I totally get it from that skeptical standpoint. But a lot of times things don't happen when the camera's rolling. So I don't necessarily, from my personal opinion, see that as a reasonable explanation to call them frauds. If everybody could catch all of their paranormal activity on camera, or everybody could make it happen when they want to show people things, the paranormal wouldn't be the phenomenon that it is right now, and there wouldn't be so many blurred lines between the other side and our world. With that being said, like I've said, from the skeptical point of view, I do understand that it's awfully convenient that Ed and Lorraine Warren would have these experiences when the cameras were turned off, and the fact that when they did catch things on camera, when people would ask to see it, there was a couple instances where they coincidentally lost the footage and could not retrieve it. All of these things are just scraping the surface on the cases that people have built against Ed and Lorraine Warren. But I do want to say as well, when you deal with things unbelievable, when you deal with things unworldly, when you're talking about or sharing experiences on things that maybe other people don't believe because they haven't had an experience, people are going to dedicate their time to debunking you, especially when you have gained financial success and fame from these experiences. There's always going to be people trying to critique and analyze and break down what you're sharing with the world. I know from experience that I share my personal paranormal experiences that I know from the bottom of my heart and with all that I am are 1,000,000% the truth and have not been fabricated in the slightest, but there are still people who believe that I make up haunted house stories in order to gain financial gain and subscribers here on YouTube. For somebody like me, it's obviously hurtful because I'm sharing my vulnerable, honest, and raw paranormal experiences from my childhood, but at the same time, I have to recognize that there is going to be skepticism in everything. There's going to be people who don't agree. So it does not surprise me that Ed and Lorraine Warren have gained so much controversy surrounding everything that they did during Ed's lifetime and that Lorraine Warren has done in her current lifetime. So what do I think of Ed and Lorraine Warren? From my personal experience, I will never sit here and try to say that somebody hasn't had a paranormal experience. I absolutely love diving into the Ed and Lorraine Warren cases. I'm still going to continue to do so. This has never held me back from it. I've definitely took all of the skepticism into my mind and into effect when researching these different cases, and in each case where there is controversy surrounding it, I do shed light on the fact that people think that certain things are fabricated and families have came back and tried to sue. With that being said, I personally choose to want to believe that Ed and Lorraine Warren are completely who they say they are, that the cases like Annabelle and in the real life cases that inspired some of my favorite horror films are completely based off of real life events. That is what I believe, and that is what I want to believe because I'm somebody who shares personal paranormal experiences, and I would hope that people would believe me. But from the skeptic standpoint, I will say when you kind of dive into the world of skepticism surrounding them, it does make you question a lot because some people have built incredible cases against them and stacked all these cards against them that it almost seems like, why would anybody believe them? But then when you go back to the other side and you kind of dive into the world of their investigations and you find the authenticity or the strings that line up with one another, you're like, oh, of course they're real. I think it's one of those things that nobody will ever know the truth other than Ed and Lorraine Warren and the families of which experience these hauntings, and all that we can do is interpret everything they've shared with us and choose whether or not we believe it. I don't know, you guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this because so many of you guys leave comments on my videos asking me, Hailey, are they frauds? I've read that they're frauds, and as far as I can say, I don't know what the truth is, and I will probably never know because it's not my life and they're not my personal experiences. What I do know is I'm still going to continue diving into their cases. I'm still going to follow all of the things to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren, and I'm still going to bring them here on my channel to share with you. Whether or not you guys choose to believe it is totally up to you, and rightfully and respectfully so. What do you guys think of Ed and Lorraine Warren? Do you guys believe that they're fraudulent, or do you think that they are 100% legit and people are just trying to, for whatever reason, debunk what is real? Let me know in the comments below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think on the subject matter, and that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It makes my heart super, super happy, and I know that I say that all the time, but it's because it's true. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you guys.